adjust it so that it's... There we go. Hey guys, who's this?
So we're live now?
We're live now. We're officially live on Instagram and we're live on Facebook. I'm just going to tip us down a little bit more there so we get a better angle. And as everybody rolls in, we'll see them on there and then on Facebook. So I'm super excited. We get to see Dr. Serrano in person.
Hi guys.
Yay! So today, I think, seeing how we're hanging out in person, I know people have a lot of questions about you because we're nosy.
Okay.
And I know that people have asked me, first of all, how did you decide to become interested in medicine? Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Oh, wow. Long story. The short version is that my family invested in healthcare when I was a kid, so I was exposed to the medical practice from a young age. And, you know, as we grew up, a family, you know, kind of had different interests here and there. And when I finally decided it was my call, it was, I guess, somewhere around high school. And things started to flow very naturally. And I ended up in medical school. Next thing I know, I was practicing. And one of the biggest goals that I had was medical travel and to open up medicine to people from all walks of life, from all parts of the world. And I had a patient, she said, you should say that medicine has no walls, you know, but I don't want to get political. But, you know, that's our, I mean, we see people from the US, from Canada, from Europe, Australia, from all over the globe. And so we're lucky enough to be able to have changed the lives of people from many, many countries.
So explain to us a little bit about what medical tourism is, because I mean I know.
Sure.
I went to meet you down at your facility, so I know what it is, but I don't know if everybody else kind of knows the basis of. What's the theory behind?
Medical travel is basically it's a tool, okay? And so I guess we grew up conforming to a norm or to what's normal, quote unquote, and so there are a lot of things out in the world, whether it's in Mexico and Central America, in Europe and in Asia, that you have alternatives, and not necessarily alternative medicine, but alternative treatments where, I mean, sometimes maybe it just means having an opportunistic treatment or a doctor to see you, to diagnose, to treat, to formulate a plan to improve the quality of life. That's our goal. So that we can help our patients be more productive in life, whether that's going to be relieving them from lower back pain, putting a knee, a hip prosthetic in a timely fashion, or doing full body scans because patients are just living in fear that they might have or be the genetic carriers of certain diseases. And so that's our call, is to be able to attend a patient when they feel like they need it, not when the body is screaming for help.
Not when you're at the point where you're absolutely desperate.
Yes, we try to avoid that at all costs.
Yes. Now, one of the things that people have commented to me in the past is, you know, were you comfortable going to have surgery in Mexico? Aren't they really far behind us?
Yeah, I mean, well, the short answer is no. I mean, there is a lot of medical talent in Mexico, as in the States, as in Canada. Very talented physicians everywhere in all of the three countries. But, you know, we have a lot of innovative medical devices, procedures. Sometimes some companies reach out to us because they know we have a large patient base in order to be able to provide certain therapies, medical devices to certain patients. So I would actually say we're a little closer to the forefront. I'm not saying we're the best in the world. We strive to be. But we definitely try to do the cutting edge, whatever is the new stuff in medicine, obviously, when it's tested, not experimental therapies, but whatever works, we try to have it in our repertoire.
Well, and in my own personal experience, when I went to your facility 8 years, almost 9 years ago, the surgery that I had wasn't even available in Canada. Yeah,
and actually that in the States, it was also just gaining traction. You know, bariatric surgery was, I mean, it's been around for a long time, but these newer techniques like the vertical sleeve, the gastric plication, these were procedures that very few surgeons in North America were doing, or in the U.S. and Canada. And at that time, you had surgeons in Mexico, specifically in Tijuana, that were doing 4 or 5 of these a day.
Well, and I know that the surgeon who performed mine had already been teaching this procedure for 15
Correct.
years by the time he did that for me, and it still wasn't available. It's only become available in Canada, I believe, in the last year.
Okay.
So I feel like we're the ones who are behind when it comes to available surgeries. When I looked into having weight loss surgery at that time, the only thing available in Canada was the lap band, which I think can be helpful for some people. I don't think was the right choice for me. And at that time, it was $28,000 Canadian to have that performed, and that's not covered by my insurance. I was able to have a better surgery for a third of the price at your facility. So for me, that changed my life. I couldn't have ever put aside the $28,000 to have surgery, and I wouldn't be here today. I know that. I know I was in a bad state, and I wasn't healthy. So I want to talk a little bit about the surgery that I originally intended to have versus what I did have. Because I went down and I paid for surgery. I paid to have the gastric sleeve, so you can tell everybody a little bit about that and how that differs from what I had and why the change.
Yeah, so I don't have the file right in front of me, but I do remember that there were certain issues in the anatomy when we go in laparoscopically to the abdomen, we blow it up with CO2 gas. And the first thing we do is identify everything, important structures, blood vessels. It's a very busy area, right? And so the gastric sleeve basically means where you resect a large part of the tissue. And in your case, there was the way the stomach was shaped was very close to your esophageal junction, so the esophagus where food goes down. And so in bariatric surgery, when you get very close to the esophagus, you can actually have the risk of forming fistulas, so basically communications of one body part with another that should not exist, or a compartment. So in this case, the thoracic cavity can connect to the peritoneal cavity, which is where the stomach and the vital organs are, and that's bad news. That's ICU, that's complications, and so the last thing you want is to expose a patient that's not from your neck of the woods to a potential complication like that. So we decided to go with what we knew would work, and obviously it did, because you look amazing and fantastic today.
And I feel amazing and fantastic. And it's kind of funny for me because I spent the majority of my life at the 290 pounds that you saw me at. And most times when I meet people, they don't think I was ever overweight. They can't imagine that I ever was. So I will say for me, it was 1,000,000% success. I did regain some weight after my surgery, and that didn't have anything to do with my surgery. It had to do with me learning to out-eat my surgery.
Sure.
Because I could only have a bite of a chocolate bar, but I could have a bite now, and I could have a bite later, and I could have another bite later. And by the end of the day, I had eaten 2 chocolate bars, and then I was like, well, geez, I wonder why I gained weight.
Yeah, those calories are very easy that go by the stomach. They go by almost like water. Yeah. And so they're empty calories, and if you have enough empty calories on a daily basis, you're going to gain weight.
And I think that's regardless of the amount that you eat. Of course. I do think I fooled myself into thinking I'm eating such a small amount. It doesn't really matter what I'm eating because I'm eating this much. So if I'm eating half of a McDonald's hamburger, or I'm eating a half of a Timmy's donut, or if I'm eating, 1 slice of pizza, it's not that bad. But what I've learned since then is because I eat such a small amount, it's more important.
Sure.
It's more important to get nutrient-dense food.
Yeah, and so what I tell patients is, go to a nutritionist, get assessment, and first write down your meals, what you're eating, so that you can see, you're like, holy cow, I ate all of this during the day. So what was the difference before surgery? So it's important to definitely make sure that you are getting the adequate nutrients to, you're not overeating, empty calories, things like that. So going to a nutrition specialist or a nutritionist is fantastic.
Okay. Now, I want to do a little bit of personal questions, because I know everybody always asks me, oh, he's so handsome. Is he single? So let's hear about your family, because you have an amazing family.
I have and here they are. So
Oh, turn it around so they can see on the camera there.
so that
Oh, the
is
family.
my 3-year-old and my 6-month-old.
Oh,
So
there we go.
there they are again.
Yay.
And yeah, so they're waiting for me back home. I showed my daughter, I did a FaceTime with her this morning,
Yeah.
and she saw the snow and she said, "Frozen."
Actual
So that's the first time in her life, I think, that she saw it, impacting.
snow. You'll have to bring them one time for a
Yes.
vacation. It does get cold here.
Yeah.
This is
I've been in
warm weather.
February.
Yeah, this is
so
this is warm for us. We don't get your Mexican.
we were
weather.
wearing t-shirts yesterday, and then I'm wearing a coat and gloves today.
I've got
But I'm a wuss for the cold right now.
Oh, I'm a wuss for the cold. I think since I've lost weight,
Mhm.
that's one thing that I noticed is I never used to be cold, and now I'm cold all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's I think one of something that everybody will be happy to have that problem.
Right? Life without a fat blanket.
Yeah.
There is life beyond that.
You just have to layer up.
Yes. So I'd like to close up talking about what we're gonna do tomorrow night and kind of why you're in town here. I'm so excited.
It's a very exciting project. We are partnering with a facility called Lifepath Wellness. They're based here out of Chestermere, and it's a fantastic community of wellness. They have everything from dental to rehab to physio to acupuncture to chiropractors to dental specialties, high-end specialties. They have it. You name it, they have it. And so a lot of our patients, when they come back, they'll need some rehab or a little bit of physio or a wellness spa. And the fact that they'll have someone to go to when they're in Canada speaks volumes, and it'll increase the trust factor a lot. And that's what we want. We want the best for our patients. So when they come back, the fact that they know that they have a safety net here, because the founders and especially Dr. Jed Snatic, he's one of the founders of LifePath, have seen our facilities. They've met all of the doctors that work in our practice, the nurses. They know our operation. They know we're not a little hole in the wall. They know that we've grown a lot and done a lot in the last decade to ensure that the patients that come from abroad are in a safe, quality hospital medical environment, so that they can have surgery, recover from it well, and then come back and share a positive story, and then come back here to LifePath they don't have to be patients here, but at least they know that there's a safety net for them waiting here in Calgary.
Well, and I think a lot of people are concerned about local aftercare when they go out of country to have procedures. And maybe I'm not as panicked as some people are, but a lot of people said to me, "Aren't you worried? Will doctors treat you when you come home?" And I never had any complications, but I never had any issues with doctors being willing to treat me either.
And I've been lucky enough to connect with great and amazing doctors in Canada, that sometimes when we have invasive procedures like a cardiac catheterism or double hip replacements that are big surgeries, and when I've connected with a lot of the GPs or even the specialists of that patient, they've been very receptive. And so I do have to commend a lot of the doctors that are willing to work for the better of the patient.
Well, and I think sometimes it's about looking at the whole of patient health. If you can't provide the best service, then you really need to suck it up and say, hey, there might be a better option for you, and there's enough pie for everybody to share.
I think it's just, like I said, I think there are fantastic physicians here. It's just that there's a big system and how it's set up. Sometimes the wait times are too long for some patients. Like I have a farmer that's coming up for surgery in a couple of weeks from Calgary, just outside, and he said, I have to be ready in April because it's going to be busy.
Yeah.
Can you fit me in? So we found a way to fit him in a couple of weeks. We asked a few favors for some local patients to switch, and so he's able to have it, just because, it's life, and he has to get this done in order to be productive for his farm to subside. And so we were happy to be able to help.
Yay! So let's wind up talking a little bit about how a trip kind of comes together when you come to have surgery. How much time should you be booking? How long should you be there?
So,
obviously depending on type of surgery.
Sure. Now, I mean, we usually book about 4 to 6 weeks in advance.
Okay.
If it's an emergency or something that is a little more pressed for time, we usually can find a way around it. But let's say you say, okay, I'm having, I want to have that spine procedure that you talked about. And so you fly on Monday, our driver picks you up from the airport, takes you over to our facilities. You know how easy the border crossing is. And most Canadians are taking out their passports and you just drive by the customs. And so it's really not a big issue. And so from the time the plane took off here in Calgary, in about, I mean, you land in just under 3 hours, but in 4 hours you can be seeing a world-class spine surgeon, a bariatric surgeon, interventional cardiologist, so that you can have whatever you need done. And usually, so Mondays are when we do all our pre-op testing, labs, cardio eval, your consultation with a physician, procedures Tuesdays, and then recovery from Wednesday through Saturday or Sunday. So usually Monday through Saturday is very typical. Monday through Sunday also in some instances, and in some procedures it can extend a little more.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So I mean, basically, you get to go for a week. I was gone for a week, and there weren't any major issues that prevented me from being able to fly home.
A few days after.
Oh, we were. It was so fun. We got to go down to the open air market, and I have to tell you guys, I saw a dog, and I cried for quite a while. And Crystal was like, "Just stop looking at the dog. Stop looking at it, Dory." And I'm like, "But it's so sad. It looks like Benji. It's homeless." She's like, "Just stop looking."
She wanted to adopt it.
I did, and there's no way they're gonna let you bring some Mexico dog home, and I know that they wouldn't, but I was very sad. I was very sad for the dog.
Yeah, but it's a very good experience. We have a great team behind us, and to make you feel supported, and we understand it's a country where you don't speak the language, and you might create a little bit of a hesitation and some anxiety, and so our staff is amazing at helping you feel like you're one of ours.
Do you know what? Having a driver with you at all times that speaks the language was so very, very helpful. I maybe should have spent some time learning Spanish before I left. But when we went into the clinic to do my testing, the lady started speaking to me, and I just said, "I don't speak Spanish, but my English is fantastic." And everybody laughed. We had such a giggle. Everyone is so open and
people
so friendly.
Are so warm. I think that's the word. You know, Latin American culture is very warm in general, and so it extends into medicine as well. And it's evident when you see a patient, and the reaction you get from a patient that's not from Mexico, and they see how warm the treatment is. You automatically get more patient compliance, I feel, even right then and there.
It's very different. In my experience, medical procedures are very sterile, very impersonal, very, you're in, you're out, you're...
Yeah, the doctor's like this.
Yeah.
How are you? And then, okay, here you go.
How are you today? Here's your prescription. So for me, it was a really eye-opening experience to see that healthcare in general isn't like that everywhere. We don't all get the experience of being able to go out of our own country to receive healthcare, to even know the difference. So I personally would love to thank you for what you do, for how you include people. I literally felt like part of your family when I was there, and it was an amazing experience. So
much appreciated. And behind that, there are dozens of people working hard each day to make sure that this is a possibility, because it trickles down from the head offices to the support staff, that we're all in the same wavelength to make sure that we transmit that to patients.
And it's amazing. You guys are doing an amazing job. So tomorrow night is the open house. If you guys want to come, 6:30 till 8:30. It's free. You just have to RSVP. You can do that at the LifePath Wellness number, and I'll tell you guys what their phone number is.
Not so visible. The light's not helping.
No. The phone number is 403-235-6208. Or you can email chestamere@stationdentistry.com just to let them know you're coming, and then they can plan for the amount of people. We are allowed to live stream, so there will be some live streaming tomorrow. They're going to have demos set up, so you guys are going to get to see a lot.
Yeah,
I'm so
it'll be fun.
excited. So let's take a quick scroll and see if we have any questions before we go. It looks like mostly just comments and waves. So if you guys have any questions that you want to set aside for Dr. Serrano for tomorrow, let me know and we can ask any of our questions.
Sure, we'll be happy to answer as many as we can.
Awesome. Have a great day, guys.
Bye, guys.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for joining.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye. There we go.